Anthony,
You're on a horse, I'm sorry.
Or an airplane?
Wait a minute.
Is it the?
Yeah, and I think it was this.
Okay, so it's working now, though.
It's now working.
Okay.
What in the?
I don't know what that was, but hey, we've got volume. And we just started. It's just basically 10 after 8. So anyway, so here's what we won't recap, but here's what we're talking about. I was asking, there's such a thing as a part of a property, excluding the house, that can't be haunted, and if there's ever been any situations like this, y'all are saying that y'all have run into cases like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give me an example.
Okay, I want to talk about Maypearl.
All right.
Is that okay?
I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Okay, well, I'll explain it.
Okay.
So there's an area out in Maypearl, Texas, that a gentleman had asked us to go out with him and basically help him because he had taken things off the land, and ever since then, he had like crazy nightmares. Like he wanted to hurt people.
Wow.
Like, I mean, it was crazy. So we went out to this place, and little did we know it was like sacred Native American territory.
Oh my God.
So the place that he had took everything from was like a shaman's ground. And so basically they had like a ring of dead trees around this ground. And he's like, yeah, I took everything from here.
That's a
That
big.
was a great idea.
Wow.
So, and I mean, in that case, like, we had to do a peace offering to the land saying that he's not going to hurt anybody. We're not going to hurt anybody. We're just going to leave this here and go home. So, I mean, there are definitely
Did it ever calm down?
From the last time, he blocked me simply because he didn't want to have any communication with what was going on. Yeah,
Got you. I hear you.
Simply because a lot from when it first started, he invited some paranormal teams out there already.
Right.
The first group that went out there got extremely sick within 24 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the second group that went out there, I think one of them died or something like that.
No
Whoa.
way.
So
Wow.
he was already like shaken up about the whole entire thing, and then on top of that, something murdered his dog apparently while he was living in that area. Yeah, so they had called us, and the reason why he was a little bit shaken up right now because the first guy that he ever talked to share a story about was a guy who also did a podcast as well called Scare Me.
Okay. That's a great name.
Yeah, so he told his whole story on that podcast. After that, I guess that guy decided, hey, is it okay? We try to shoot a documentary about what's going on and with you and the property and all that other stuff, and he agreed to it. So we just decided, okay, well, he wants to include us in this and all this other stuff, so we went ahead and did it and scheduled. I mean, it was probably like almost a year in the making for that.
Wow.
So, because it was just to the point where he didn't know if he wanted to do it. He didn't know if he wanted to go back up there. Everything that was going on with him was just totally off. So, like, by the time that the first time that we met him, it was just...
It was weird.
It was a weird thing. It was a weird vibe.
Well, I guess he was just, of course, timid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then when we actually got up to that location, we couldn't... so by the time we got to this location, we couldn't actually get on the original property.
Okay.
Because he had sold it already without returning all the stuff that he had taken. He literally got all the stuff there, and this was like, okay, I sold it. I took all the
douchebag move, but whatever.
Yeah, so like,
am I wrong? Whatever. I mean, whatever. Anyway.
But during that process, when we actually got to the location, we did the offering, all that other stuff. I even prayed over him. But even during that process, after the prayer, he had mentioned like, and I asked him like, how do you feel like? And he literally told me like, I feel like grabbing that axe and just chopping you up.
No way.
And I was like, hey Jordan, go put that axe.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And I'd have been like, okay, that'll be a 55.
So when a 6'5" tall guy is like standing there, and I just have this giant axe behind my back, I'm like, there's nothing here. Don't look at me. Look the other direction.
This is not the situation.
Yeah.
He was like close to maybe 300 pounds.
So when I asked you a while ago if people were still doing axe murders, just a couple of guys out
just
there.
a couple.
They're sprinkled out there here and there, but okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
So that's one of them, but I think you have one. Don't you have one story?
Yeah, it's awful close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually very close to Waco. In fact, down in Marlin.
Oh, that's my hometown, brother. My running ground.
Yeah, that's where I actually live at.
No, really?
I live out going towards Otto and
On
Ons.
the microphone. There you go.
Out there towards Otto and Ons.
Okay. Okay. My mom was born in Otto. I know there's no hospital there. It was way old school. Yeah.
She was born in the back.
Yeah. She was born in probably like a barn. What do you call those people?
Amish?
No. It was like
The women who deliver.
yes.
Midwives?
Midwives.
Midwives.
Midwife, yes, one of those. But anyway, brother. So Marlin, Texas.
Yeah, actually, if you know where Bell Bottom Bridge is, I actually.
Oh my gosh, you
I
kidding
live
me?
I live not too far from Bell Bottom.
Daniel, telling
And
people
there's so
where
many
you live is how you
stories
get
about Bell
stalkers.
Bottom Bridge, brother.
This is how you get stalkers.
Have y'all done
okay.
have y'all done anything at Bell Bottom Bridge? Or is it just spooky? Because we all thought it was actually something there when we were kids.
Not really.
That was the legend that
I
all
mean-
kinds of shit was going on, but I never saw anything.
I mean, it varies among the legends. What I've heard from locals and what I've been able to research.
But you have heard about Bell Bottom Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean everything from the carnival murder to the rapings, the things like that. But it's hard, it's one of those things. Part of the research that we do, we have to wade through all the different stories to actually find, tangible. Okay, this is what happened.
Right.
I look at old newspapers and books and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So the story was the research was at Bell Bottom Bridge.
No,
no.
Actually, a little closer to home than that. My own personal property.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but like you were talking about, as far as the land itself, yeah, we've in fact
Your
encountered.
land's creepy.
Huh?
Your land's creepy.
Can you give any example stories or something? Or
Let's see.
I can't say anything. What does that say?
Taya Aguilar says the shades are a great thing.
I don't know, but anyway, so go ahead.
But,
Sorry.
there has been stuff seen out there at my house. In fact, by some of the people that used to live there, they one in particular, she was seeing all sorts of, we don't just like randomly throw around the words, like most people would, like, oh, it's demonic. No, malevolent, yeah. Angry, definitely. But things like that. But there were certain pictures that we've caught out there that they hinge on what exactly is that. Not unexplainable, but
Right.
what is that?
Not only
Faces?
that, but heard too.
Huh?
But heard too.
Oh, yeah.
Inside your house.
Oh, yeah.
Many
Yeah,
faces.
Marlin. There's a lot of
Oh,
there's a lot of history in Marlin. One thing a lot of people do not know is that, and it sounds very crazy because this happened way before my time, before my father's time. Oh no, actually, I'm lying. I think my dad was a kid, but at one time Marlin was thriving.
Mhm.
It was a thriving town.
Yeah, in the 20s, it
It
was
was-
all about the mineral springs.
It was.
I have pictures of my
It
grandparents
was
down
it
there.
was a city,
Damn.
like a small city. How it wound up becoming
Well,
what it is.
like the Falls Hotel. It
Yes.
was owned by the Hiltons.
Oh,
back
really?
then,
I had no
Yeah,
idea.
it was one of the Hilton hotels back in the
And
day.
I'm sure there's been some investigating there, right?
Oh, yeah.
It has to be. I
Still
mean,
trying to get into the Falls Hotel.
right? At one time it was some kind of. They would have it was like a mid. What do you call it? People that they go to jail, but like a mid house or some kind of shit like
Halfway
that.
house?
Halfway house. It was that at one time. But yes, there's a lot of history. Matter of fact, right across from the hotel, this buddy of mine owned a. He just really sold it a couple years ago. He owned a Mexican restaurant there.
Lobitas?
Yes.
Used to eat there all the time.
Really? My good homeboy Carlos, we were best friends. I don't know if you know Carlos. He was the chef in the back. And his wife was Maria.
Yeah,
Was
Maria.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And anyway, that building right there was haunted.
Really?
And it was haunted. And the only thing we came up with was that same exact land was a children's hospital. And obviously things happened, but I've seen pictures of it, and it was huge. The hospital was very big a long time ago. So, but anyway, Lupita's was haunted. I remember a few times, stories I heard how when you first go into Lupita's, Did you ever? You know it fairly well, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, you go to the right,
Mhm.
and but now there's like a little banquet room. You go to the left is the restaurant.
Yeah.
But if you go straight ahead, it stops right there. There's a room that nobody enters in there.
Really?
There is, and I knew somebody who was they were in there painting at nighttime, not scared of anything like that. Well, something inside of that room balled up a piece of paper into an empty door, you know, where door handles go. It was empty, and threw a piece of paper out of there, come flying out of there, balled up. And this is like, you know, no one was there, and nobody goes in that room because all kinds of stuff like knocking or stuff like that in that room. So for some reason, well, callers didn't like going in there, and so no one went in that room. But anyway, I'm pretty sure it's due to the hospital, you know. But that's crazy. There's, like I said, there's a lot of history in Marlin, man.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you delve into it, at one point in time, there was actually a viable tunnel network.
And then right next to the Paul's Hotel, right across from the Peters, was the Palace Theater, notorious for
And it is.
notorious for
It
being
is
haunted.
haunted.
You know,
And also, fun fact about Marlin, that was also a notorious hangout with the Peacock brothel, was frequented by Bonnie and Clyde.
really?
Ooh.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. But you know, I love that town. I loved it when I was a kid. It's changed so much. But man, I love that town. But man, but the whole history of ghosts and all that stuff. I mean, there's lots of it over there.
Mhm.
I guess it has to do that the town at one time was thriving. And there was a lot of people there.
Oh, yeah.
And there, you know, it has to be, you know, stuff like that. But you know, the fact that a lot of the buildings are still up, like the Falls Hotel, you know, or Palace Theater. They're still using Palace Theater for stuff like shows and stuff.
Yeah, they do Paranormal University down there.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Like a school?
Mm-hmm.
It's with Cindy.
Is it really?
Yeah, Cindy Little.
Yes, I know Cindy. Okay, so what is she doing?
Believe it or not, I've never actually frequented one of her events.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's just every time she has it, we're out of town on cases.
Is there anything? Is it warm? I turn it off because it's kind of loud, but I might turn it back on. It's kind of. You sure? If you're warm, let me know. Because the other day I had it on. Yeah, I had it on. It was freezing outside. The guys were telling me I'm cold. But so anything y'all can talk about that y'all been working on? I know you can't talk about a lot of stuff because it's private. But is there anything y'all can talk about that's been going on, or anything that's? Can y'all talk about anything that stands out here of late?
Well, I mean, the only thing we can really talk about right now, well, besides all the research stuff, but I mean, the amount of cases that we've been getting has been like nonstop. I mean, I think from last year when we talked, you know, I was, you know, telling you I was doing like at least once a week, you know, a case.
Yes.
Now it's been like 2 or 3, you know, a week, and it's been nonstop.
Is this your full-time gig now?
It is now.
Well,
Yeah,
congrats,
pretty much,
because I know you do, man. Let me tell you, brother. I know you have a passion for it, and it really, that I can see that in you. You would not just do it.
Just a real quick second. Benjamin Montelongo says, "Hi, Dad."
Oh, son.
You would not be doing
Hey,
it.
Benny.
You would not be doing it this long, and it's just and as often as you do if you didn't love it, brother. So I'm glad. I'm glad you're doing it because I know where your heart is at. I know you do believe in God. The fact that you pray, I mean, that's a big deal because you really are traveling into the unknown. There are evil forces out there. Because you know why? I got like I told you earlier. I was raised in church as a deacon's kid. I knew what the Bible says. The Bible says there's good spirits, but there's bad spirits too.
Yeah.
So I know doing that, and I told you, notorious chicken shit right here, brother. That's me. I mean, I'm scared of ghosts and all that stuff, but so the fact that you do that, I don't know how y'all, you know, it's wild, but I can, you know, that's congrats to you doing what you love full time, basically. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, it's been a work in progress just to get to that area, just to get to where we want to do it. But I mean, I still do like side jobs. I mean, I still do photography.
Cool. That's cool because you're an artist, brother. That's why.
I still do the art shows and all that other stuff too.
Have you done an art to art lately?
I got one on the 29th.
Really?
The Dia de los
The
Muertos.
29th? Oh, this coming 29th. Like here in a few days.
A few days.
Badass. Where can we find this at, folks?
City Hall parking lot in Temple, Texas.
Where?
Temple, Texas.
I mean, no, but the parking lot. What parking lot?
City Hall parking lot.
City Hall parking lot. Okay, so downtown you can't miss it. Kick ass, brother. And you've been doing this for a little bit.
Yeah, 15 years for that.
Wow, dude. I thought you were going to say like 4 or 5 years. I had no idea. That's kick ass, brother.
No, the Artist Showcase has been around for about 5 years.
Okay.
Artist Show production and all that other
Yeah,
stuff.
well, that's what I meant the artist, yes.
Yeah, Artist has been around about 5. Well, going on 7, 6 years.
And you do a few per year, right? Or no, like...
Yeah, so when I first started, it was all the first Fridays, which is 12. And then plus all the special event stuff, and then when I first started, the first 3 years I was doing like 3 or 4 big special events a year.
Okay.
So it just got too much.
Oh,
Then,
I believe you, brother.
And then when I started doing the paranormal stuff, it was just like, okay, add that plus this, and then the photography plus that.
Yeah,
chasing.
geez, Lord.
Like storm chasing plus that.
I know it. Dude, you still storm chasing too?
So I was like,
You still storm chasing too?
The last one that we did, I took her with me, and that was like, no.
Jordan.
It was the one that happened. The last one that happened in Bartlett. That tornado that went through there.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. So we got caught in the middle of that one.
Yeah.
I think I saw some of your footage.
Yeah, just be honest. We got stuck in the middle of a
So,
tornado and almost died.
I knew what was going on. But I knew if I overreacted that she would just like go panic attack. So I was legitimately trying to stay calm while I know that there was a tornado right there because all the storm, the light poles were just like they were literally like this.
Oh my God!
I was
bro.
like driving into the rain and it's just like a solid wall of gray.
And then the next day, Brad was
leaving. She's like, what's going on? And I was like, nothing. It's just rain.
Yeah.
It's
Stare
just
at your
rain.
phone.
waiting for the cow to come in like that, under that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't see anything in front of the car, side of the car, or anything. It was just like and the back road towards Bartlett going out towards Gerald is like windy. So like I had to remember like, okay, it turns this way and it turns that way.
Have you ever
Not we're going into the ditch.
It's all smiles, all smiles.
Have you ever heard of the Gerald tornado?
Yeah. That's what got me chasing too.
Really?
Started as a puffy little white cloud over Waco, and it moved due south.
I remember we did a benefit over there. It was wild doing that, seeing the community like that. But I knew somebody. Let me tell the story right, because the musician was dating this girl. She wound up passing. No, it wasn't nothing bad.
Oh.
She was a news person.
Leave that out of here.
No, she was a news person, and she her cameraman. They captured an actual tornado, and they captured how huge it was because there was a few of them, but one of them was very huge. So when they went back and looked at it, this was back in maybe VHS days. They were looking at it, and that friend of mine took a couple of my buddies and checked out that video, and she wasn't going to release it because that was prime footage. She never got to do it because she passed the cancer. But anyway, she saw us. They saw this tornado. And said, "I want to show y'all something." He said, "Point." He goes, "You point at this thing." He goes, "What is that?" It was an 18-wheeler. And it looked small.
Yeah.
That's how big that tornado was. And they ripped up a whole community, a whole town.
Yeah.
At least, if I'm not exaggerating, brother, you might know at least about a quarter, maybe not, maybe.
Well, I know some people.
At least about 20% of that town was ripped apart, like gone.
Yeah.
Well, do y'all remember the Joplin City storm?
Mm-hmm.
Joplin, Missouri?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I was in Wyandotte, Oklahoma when that hit. It's 14 miles from Joplin. It literally looked like somebody took a doorstop and stood it up in the sky. And it literally was, it was huge. That storm measured over, or that particular tornado.
It was an F.
measured over
It was
a
like
mile.
almost, and they said it was like almost an F6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They couldn't even register it.
Oh, he just ducked down and then he went.
Is that what it was? I was like, what's going on here?
Like, Isaac, bro, you a
I was
vampire?
like, what's going on here?
That's what it said. Isaac, you a vampire, bro?
Yeah.
You can't have that.
I haven't chased since then. I mean, she was just like, nope. But,
No, you gotta be honest.
okay,
the deal
so
was.
go ahead.
Yeah.
The deal was, if he decided to chase the storm again, I get a motorcycle. So
Harley.
that I get a nice motorcycle.
Kick ass.
Because
That's a great deal.
Yeah, because I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine, but if it makes him not get hail damage on my car, then we're okay. It's all set.
No, but the fact that you guys were driving through a tornado.
He didn't tell me. That was the worst part. I was like, why are the power lines going like I just thought the winds were terrible. And he was like, oh,
it's just tremors.
He's like, don't worry about it. And all of a sudden we're going faster and faster and faster. He's like, I can't see. Hold on.
I was like, we need to get out of this. We need to get out of this.
Oh boy, so we just hit a pocket of hair and rain.
You can hear that.
How'd y'all get into it? 'Cause I know how John got into it. How'd y'all get into it?
The paranormal or being stuck in a
No, wait,
tornado?
Paranormal.
I didn't choose that one.
Yeah.
I didn't choose that one.
I was going to say, I used to work for National Weather Service.
Oh.
I didn't choose the tornado.
Yeah,
The tornado chose me.
John chose for you. That's what
Yeah, he was like, let's go for a ride, and then the ride turned up into me
Well,
almost dying.
yeah, that was definitely a Harley Davidson.
Nah.
What is it with you almost dying? You know?
I almost died this morning
I know.
too. It's the third time this week. Like, I just need people to stop trying to kill me for a week.
This is some like Final Destination stuff.
It
What
really
happened?
is. Oh my gosh. Okay, so 2 Saturdays ago, we were at the bookseller in Temple, and one of our guests that was with us, something influenced him really heavily. And so I was with a group of like 10 people, and we went from having nice conversations with whatever was there to we got really violent really quick.
Oh,
And
wow.
you can't lose a 6'3" man in a small building, but I did. And I turned around 5 seconds later, and he's staring at a bookshelf, like blank stare. And I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I don't know." And I was like, "Okay, it's time to leave." So I have 10 people panicking like little school children.
Y'all have
running
weird
around.
friends y'all hang out with.
These are the people that want to come with us, though.
One guy wanted to chop them up. I mean, just wild.
And then this guy, I got him. I literally had to push him almost to the doorway. By the time we got to the doorway, he's what, like 200-ish?
No, he's
250?
He's a good 260.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'm being generous, but he like literally borrowed down on his heels and was not going out the door. Like, I was pushing with all my might. And so all it takes is John to just touch the small of his back, and this man goes out the door. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So we get done. The next day he comes and sees me, and he's like, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to punch you in the teeth when you got to the couch. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, well, thank
Okay,
you for
stay away from me.
so that was strike
Hell.
one. Strike two happened this Saturday because somebody got a date and decided that it was a good idea to let her meet me. And I was like, something's wrong with this girl. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm bringing it up. I'm sorry.
It's out there.
I'm so
It's out
sorry.
there.
I'm
so
sorry if you're watching this, but we're not
It's
going
happening.
to
It's
say
on-
I have
anything.
to tell this story.
The broke down at the sack decided doors violence, but it is
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh my gosh. So she was telling me about this knife that you brought her. It wasn't me. So she
It
had
happens.
She's talking about this big knife that she had. She's like, I can't sleep without it. It stays under my pillow. It came all the way from Dallas with her. But she got anxiety when it's gone. So I was like, all right. Daniel and I were walking in Walmart with her. We're like, okay. So I got to pray over, and usually we don't do this without John. So I was like, this is fine.
Right?
It's fine. By the time we get back to my apartment, it's like, you could cut the tension in my car with a knife.
It was no longer fine.
It was no longer fine. So after Daniel hoisted this girl on my couch and pulling the exorcist on her for about 15 minutes, all shit comes down. She goes, yeah, I wanted to take that knife and stab you in the back of the neck. I was like,
Oh my God.
I know. I'm like, why am I the chosen one this week? So then this morning I'm going to work, and when you're going, towards the sun right now, like, it's blinding. This dude, I had a green light. This dude had a red light. Came about 3 inches from my driver's side door, and it was not pleasant. So that was my death experience
Yeah.
for this month.
Y'all live a fascinating life.
Oh
Very,
my gosh, I don't need it. I don't want it. I need to stop.
So going back to the bookseller one.
Uh-huh.
So we're in the back of the bookseller, and all I'm hearing is just like, just judges screaming and yelling, and I'm like, oh, they must have caught something good. So I was like, okay, well, let's go to the front. And
Evidence.
As soon as I went to go touch the doorknob, here comes another person who was there. She's like, there's an emergency up front. We need you.
Oh
And
my
I was like, oh
gosh.
shit, somebody either got punched or somebody is coming into trying to break in, and I'm like, I don't know what to see. I'm going up there, and all I see is this guy who's probably like, how tall is
He's
James?
like 6'5", I
Yeah,
think.
so
Like 6'5".
6'5". So if you can picture it, it's like Scarlet Witch trying to push the Hulk.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
So
I literally had all of my
she
might,
was
like trying to push this man out the door.
And I was like, what in the world is happening here?
So bad.
I would have just grabbed the nearby cross and just like bonk.
I literally told him later, I was like, I was about to kick you in your bad knee, so at least I can get you out the door.
No,
It was
bad.
It was bad. It was so bad. I'm just done with trying to die this week.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done.
I wouldn't like the first time somebody would try to kill me. I'm like, I'm done with these people. I'm done.
I did have a question about the one. Let's go back to Maypearl.
Okay.
Did y'all have doubts about even? Cause did y'all know already that someone had passed before and all that stuff, like, and y'all still took a chance?
Yeah.
I usually the one that says yes.
Really? Wow, brother.
So this is the trick. He
That's
doesn't
wild.
tell me anything until we show up somewhere.
Oh yeah. By the way, somebody might
Yeah.
somebody died or whatever.
Yeah. So
I have it to
They had high
Antonio.
cholesterol anyway.
San Antonio too.
yeah. So that's how we do everything. He doesn't tell me anything, and I just drive there, and then he tells me after the fact. He's like, "Oh yeah." So
Did y'all take any recommendations?
Yeah.
There's places.
What do you mean?
Well, there's a place in San Antonio. When I was a kid, I thought it was a legend. Well, it was, I guess, kind of a legend,
Is that
but
the Devil's Den?
something. Yes,
Yeah.
I thought that was something my parents told me that scared the shit out of me, and it worked. But anyway, the whole deal with the devil, I guess showing up to a bar, and I heard it went there
When I
twice.
told you
that's
about.
the story you told
And
me.
it
Oh
went,
my
and
gosh.
it happened.
That's my dad.
And it happened twice. I know I heard it one time, but it happened recently. Maybe not recently, like 20 or 30 years ago. It fucking came back again.
Yeah.
Same,
It gives me the chills.
well, just me too.
Talking about
This
that
friend of mine
story.
took-
I'm all like, let's go.
No.
Me and John
No.
were going road.
This friend of mine,
trip.
there's a list of places to go visit in San Antonio.
Mhm.
So this friend of mine took, him and his wife and his kids. Let's go do this. This would be fun. They were in San Antonio, but he said passing at that place gave him the creeps. And he's not one of those dudes like that, but something about that place gave him the creeps because supposedly it was the actual devil or something like that. That's different. I don't know if it's different from ghost. I mean, that's just evil.
Evil.
You know what I'm saying?
That just leaves a mark on the spot.
Right,
That-
for sure.
that you can just feel.
The fact that building is still up flabbergasts me. I would have torn it down years ago, but it's still up and going, dude. That's crazy. And
It's waiting for us.
I don't know. I don't know.
They torn down that building that's supposedly haunted in I think it was in Missouri or something. Like it's a local it's a house, but for some reason some dude opened up a portal of some sort and there's like a whole bunch of evil going on in there. The Sally house, I think that's what they call
Oh
it.
yeah, I've been in.
And then they,
been in front of it.
Oh, you've been
Like,
in front of it.
literally on the doorstep.
Well,
But never
I don't know if
did.
it's the same one, but I heard it was demolished, but still the ham.
No, it's
No,
So,
that's
it's
the demon house.
Yeah, there's the demon house.
Mm.
So what are they? Because I've never heard of either one of these.
There's different locations all over the United States.
Okay.
Like probably one of the most well-known one, just because of mainstream movies, would be, the one from
Annabelle or something.
was Burkittsville,
Yes.
Rhode Island.
Really? Which
Or
one?
Blair Witch?
No, Harrisville.
Oh.
It was the original Conjuring house.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, I've never
the
seen any of those for obvious reasons.
Yeah, the
I told you a while
Warrens and
ago.
all
Yeah,
that.
the
But,
ones that the Perones lived in. Yeah, I
We've
went-
discussed this already.
Not this past March, but it was the March before last one. Did an investigation there.
Mhm.
Been to Waverly Hills. I've been to Bobby Mackey's.
Bobby Mackey's.
Yeah.
How did you get into it? Because obviously
that's the
you've
part-
been
that's
you've
the
been
part
doing
you
it. You've been doing it
asked.
before. You've been doing this before you and John started working
Oh, yeah.
together. Because you sound like you've been doing it for a whole minute. How did you get
I've been
into
doing
it?
it for about 20 years.
Was it something that just interested you with some buddies, or did you have any experiences prior?
I'm like John. If you get into the experiences prior, it's just, notebooks and notebooks and notebooks worth of different things.
Okay, so just fascinating you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've gone and done investigations for years.
Uh,
Just different locations.
Can you remember your first one? And were you scared shitless?
Never. No, I actually grew up in a Victorian house.
Oh wow!
that was-
So did I. I lived in a
that-
Victorian house
that-
too.
That was haunted.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Wow.
So I've dealt with it since I was old enough to really remember.
What was going on at that time? At that house?
I mean, knocks, bangs, stuff like that. My grandmother passed away in the house.
Okay.
Could
Could it have been her, or was it prior to the
No, it was prior to that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it at one point in time, that house was actually used as a makeshift funeral home.
Ah,
From
geez,
train wreck.
yeah, got you. Wow.
What?
Well,
Still want to go visit?
No.
Well, you're lucky because they demolished the house.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
Bye.
CBS bought the property and they decided to. Oh no, we're not. We tried to move the house. That was that.
A Victorian home? Oh my gosh.
That's heavy.
Well, my dad was a general contractor.
Okay,
So
okay.
we had actually had it all laid out through the city how we were going to do it.
We're gonna cut it?
We were going to remove the roof, and then split it into 4 sections.
Right.
And then move it.
Right.
They never would push the permits through.
Oh, really?
Now, if you go to that town now, they've moved in like 17 or 18 homes from different areas after this one was demolished. And this was
Wow.
the original one to the town.
That is, dude, that's
I would have
staple
never
of
done
town.
that.
Yeah, that's,
Ever.
That house was built in 1890.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
If you
that's
think-
stupid of that town to do that.
If you
Yeah.
think,
Stupid of that town
if
to
you
do
all
that.
think about it, most of the psychiatric hospitals built in like the early 1800s all the way to 1920s have been demolished or just completely left abandoned.
Yeah, there's a few that we some of our friends and colleagues through in the field
Right.
that they've different locations they bought, like a friend of ours, Ashley, up in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. She bought Broken Bow Asylum.
What the hell?
Some other friends of ours, they own.
For what you buy the asylum for? What's it going to be used for?
It's for investigations.
And the best you got about to say, please don't tell me. She said, you know what? I'm gonna have a B&B here.
No.
They like she does investigations. We have some friends that own the Old Park Hotel out in Ballinger, Texas. That's all they do.
I've gone through Ballinger many times. I never knew, but there was something there.
There's it's right.
Because it's a small town.
I think it's right off. It's like one of the first. It's like 1st or 3rd Street. It's right there as you come into Ballinger.
Right.
It's on the left hand side.
The whole town is old anyway.
Oh yeah,
You know.
it sits across the street from the
jail.
courthouse and the jail.
Oh, really?
Reynolds jail.
Whenever you first started doing investigating, is there anything that stood out that's like, wow, this is now I'm in it, because now there's because like an actual event that happens, like okay, this is going on right now.
Yeah.
My event.
Yeah,
What
go
do you-
ahead.
Oh, tell me,
My Saturday
Because now
event?
you're in it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's called Rude Awakening. So the girl that tried to kill me, that's where. So I've been doing
There's a
this.
sequel to this?
There's a sequel, yes. This is where it like all comes together, and we learn that my life is
The
about to
three
get
of
so
you
much
have
worse.
great personalities. Y'all do need to do a podcast for real. Y'all do have great personalities. Even on the road, that would be great for you guys to do. But anyway,
We try. We do little videos, but that's about it. But no, yeah. So this girl, leading up to all of this, we really didn't know until afterwards. So we had started seeing like all of these number 7s everywhere, pizza boxes, just random places.
That normally
Rocks.
means it's the end of something.
Well, actually, it means fulfillment or completion, but it can also mean
Completion.
self-actualization. So it means that I'm beginning my correct path, which I didn't know at the time. So this is where the story gets really crazy. If you want to make it even worse.
Oh, yeah.
So leading up to the week
Let's make it
before,
worse.
my uncle on my dad's side had what they call a widowmaker. So
Oh, yes.
one artery was 70% clogged, the other one was 60% clogged.
Oh, Jesus.
So get all the way through the weekend after she tried to kill me. Get to Monday, find out that my uncle on my mother's side also had a serious episode. Almost thought he was dying. Found out at 7 o'clock that morning that it was happening. So all of these 7s, as soon as I find this out, I'm like,
Yes.
what is happening? So I start going through this revelation of like, I'm about to go through what he went through and all of this stuff happens. Well, then we start doing research into demonology about the number 7, and it's just not like an exciting start to an adventure that I really want to go on right this second. But we're in for it, I guess, to say the least. But this,
She's starting her path.
I mean, this girl's praying over was intense, though. I mean, it took Daniel holding an entire one side of the body, me getting punched, and then holding down that side of the body, and this girl laughing at me repeatedly, like, as I'm praying over her.
And,
And she's so small.
And
She's smaller than I am.
she was like, what, maybe 110 pounds?
Maybe.
So she was possessed.
No.
She was
Cray.
She was very influenced by the time we got to where we
Was
needed to
Cray
be.
in?
Yeah,
She had a severe attachment.
Yeah.
She was severely obsessed with her knife.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad to the point that the second the knife got removed, she was screaming where her knife was. And we live in an apartment right now, so I hate to think what my neighbors upstairs and downstairs were thinking.
Like, Dahmer's upstairs.
Honey, we need to move.
Yeah.
That could have been the reason why the lady that rounded the corner from the stairs when we stepped out.
Yeah.
And she turned around and hauled butt back upstairs.
Probably.
Yeah.
She probably thought we were more like murdering that poor girl.
Wow.
But, I mean, it was.
She's like, I seen their faces.
It
But
was-
They're gonna come back,
in that situation,
I've seen unsolved mysteries.
sometimes you just can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, John was doing photos, and this girl, like, just as we were just talking about normal things,
Right.
like, as the day was going, and it just kept getting worse, and I'm like, why is she so angry at me? Like, I couldn't figure it out. Like, it just kept getting worse, and we were like, all right,
What the hell?
we were about to take her on a public tour with us.
Right.
And so we were like, we can't take her with us, because here we are, we're going to be leading the tour, and we got a girl over here trying to stab somebody in the neck. I'm like, we can't do this. So we had made a unintentional game plan, I guess.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. It was like just grab what you
Just
Right,
grab it.
right.
Literally, we have a bag just full of all of the stuff that we use when we pray over people, and I'm chucking like oil, holy water, salt. Like I've like just thrown all of that.
Salt,
Oregano.
oregano,
That's what it looked like.
milk, eggs.
It was like so scary at the same time because like as soon as we put the oil on her, she just went. I mean, like it literally looked like The Exorcist. Like just the.
If that's the case, I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
you.
you're good.
But like I said, me growing up in church,
Yeah.
that sounds very, very much like somebody that was possessed with something.
Uh huh.
I mean, especially with the oil, because I know what holy water is. That's Catholic. In my religion, I'm non-denominational or old school Pentecostal.
Yeah.
Oil, the olive oil is what we
Yeah.
had, and man, I mean that sounds textbook of someone that had some kind of possession.
She had very hardcore skipped through the oppression stage and like to the point that this thing was keeping her in bed, was making her sick, giving her bad illnesses. And I mean
I really do think so.
to that point, I mean it was so bad. But what's funny is that she texted me Monday?
Yeah.
Monday. And she goes, I just wanted to tell you, like she hadn't slept in 6 days. She's like, I've slept so well. My problems have stopped. I haven't had any issues since.
Wow.
And
Also, I wanted to strangle you.
yeah, also I wanted to stab you, but that was a whole, like, I feel like once you get past the, hey, I wanted to stab you part, like, we can be friends. Like, it's fine afterwards. It's just
like,
don't
I'm
stab
so
me.
sorry,
in the
I was shaky shank.
Yeah, like, I mean, it was a lot, though, but, like, I had a really hard time trying to figure out the revelation, like, so I grew up Catholic, so I even contacted a deacon of mine, and I was like, hey, what is happening? Like, I don't understand. And he told me to go seek a spiritual advisor. So I was like, I'm spiritually advising myself now.
Excuse me, but you're the person I answer to.
I'm like, I need you to give
You're
me
my
an
only hope,
answer.
bro.
Just tell me yes or no.
This is what I know about as far as like religions go and that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The one like the deacons, I can see him doing that because the priests,
Mm-hmm.
that's their territory. Just like in my religion, my father was a deacon, but he wouldn't do that. That's something preachers do.
Yeah.
Those are the big boys, because you're dealing with something that is evil.
Yeah, and I mean the funny thing about like Catholics is that anything that is considered demonic, you're supposed to stay far away from with a 10-foot pole.
Right. Yeah.
But here I am going barrel first into this, and I'm like, this is fine, right? They're all sitting over there like, no,
Yeah, oh sure.
No, spraying themselves with holy water at the
salt circle, we're fine, it's fine.
How did you get into it?
Okay, so this is gonna be a weird story real fast. So
Weirder than people killing you and stabbing you in the back of the
yes,
neck. Okay.
weirder than that. So
Let me get a drink. Go ahead.
So when
Cheers
I
to that.
was 4, when I was 4, my mom walked in my room and I saw my dead uncle and I was speaking to him 2 days after he died. That's how this all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so break it down. So
Yeah, so that was the first instance.
Was that her brother?
No, it was my dad's uncle, so it was my great uncle.
Gotcha.
He had died of cancer. I had never met the man a day in my life, I think, except for when I was a baby. Pictures, nothing. I was like 4 at the time, so I'm not gonna remember what he looks like. My mom walked in, and she's like, "Hey, who are you talking to?" It's like, you got an imaginary friend. I said, "Oh, Uncle Jerry died 2 days earlier." They were like, "What is wrong with you?" So in my household, that never got talked about until I was about 8 and had some recurring dreams about some property that we owned, and it was a very weird situation, but the dreams ended up being premonitions with my family, and that led into even more things.
My mother would have dreams.
Yeah.
Like either one of us is in trouble, she will have a dream.
My mom does too, and
hours
hers
before.
is really weird. Like, she'll dream that like it's one of our cats and we die or something, and it's really one of us that dies. So it's
Did
crazy.
you think that your uncle was an angel, perhaps?
I
Do you
think
think that? I mean, in hindsight.
I mean, quite possibly, but I think ultimately it was just somebody that came to me as a friend. If I was guessing right, like it was just like, hey, and because that's how a lot of like weird attachment starts with children. Is they come to somebody like friendly, not to be scary looking.
My brother, years ago, he lived in his house on, I don't know where the hell you call it, off Waco Drive.
Mm-hmm.
And his son, which was a baby at the time, not a baby, he went to school, like, whatever preschool, like 3 or 4 years old, Anyway, he kept talking about this kid named Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brother worked, he's still, this day, crazy worker. He comes in different hours a day because he loves working overtime. Anyway, he kept, he told me a couple of times he saw him like talking about this boy named Anthony. One day he had a sandwich. He goes, "Where are you going to?" Because he went to his bedroom, and he goes, because he had like something that was unusual. Maybe it could have been 2 sandwiches or something like that. But he goes, because it's for me and Anthony. So he goes, okay. So the next day, he said he asked his wife. He goes, a boy named Tony. He goes, did Junior have a friend stay over last night? He goes, no, because he keeps talking about his friend named Tony. He goes, I know. He goes, I think somebody he's going to school with. Well, he kept talking about this kid named Tony, and then one day he had a black eye.
Mm-hmm.
So my sister-in-law went to go to school because he keeps talking about this kid named Tony. Now he's got a black eye saying Tony hit him because we don't have anyone named Tony. So anyway, this Tony thing kept, and anyway, at the same time they were finding like shoes. I don't know what it was, but shoes, because he has a baby. His sister was a baby under the crib. He goes, how did those shoes get there? He combines my brother's shoes for work. He goes, I think because Tony put them there. And it had to do with something under the crib. I have no idea what it was, but that's where it was something under the crib. Anyway, so my brother said, you know what, because he's like me, a scaredy cat. He's but we do know about. He just started doing some investigating. In the back of his house was a creek.
Mm-hmm.
The creek separated houses. The house right behind the house burned down, and 2 boys died, and one of them was named Anthony.
Oh,
of course,
wow.
Tony is short for Anthony. But of course, as he got older, my nephew just forgot about it. But it's weird how it came to a kid, and it wasn't an imaginary friend. It was something maybe something physical happened because he got a black eye from something. But I don't whatever it was. I mean, I don't know. But that is total coincidence. I don't know if it's coincidental, but the kid named Anthony died in the backyard, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear a lot of, when we, especially doing residential cases, we get a lot of like crazy stories from kids. And I mean, it's funny because I see and talk to dead people, right? So it's like, they're like, oh yeah, well I see this thing sometimes. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go sit in your room. So, sitting there and just seeing these things that these kids are talking about, and some retrospect they look like them, but sometimes their faces are half gone. And we were in Copper's Cove a couple months ago, and these kids kept saying, oh, well, I see this man sits in my room, and I can hear his voice, and he tries to talk to me. Well,
What the hell?
all I
Wow.
kept seeing was this man kept telling me, like, he was like ashy, and he's like, there was a fire.
You
my
can
family
physically
was-
see them with your eyes.
They literally look like you just sitting here talking.
So they don't look transparent. They look solid.
Yep, they look solid, and I mean, I can watch them sit down on the bed. We'll have a conversation. I can watch them change, and it's funny is that like if there's something truly negative in there, I can literally watch them change from what they're wanting me to see versus what they really are, and that's where it gets scary because I mean, we had a case in Harker Heights, I want to say it was. And I literally had watched this little boy. He looked like he was like early 1900s clothing.
Wow.
Right? He had like a page boy, had everything. Trying to be a really sweet kid in this girl's room. Talking. Well, all of a sudden, I see this big black, like long, scaly fingers up this boy's shirt. And the hand moves and the boy talks. So it was
Say
something.
that again. Okay,
So his.
Like a puppet.
Like a puppet.
Like a ventriloquist.
no way.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So whatever was there that was truly negative was coming to this girl as a kid, and was like, "Oh, well, I'm just
Wow. So
gonna
it was
talk to you like
something
this."
dark.
And you could just see the hand moving as the kid talked.
Wow.
And it was just like ventriloquistommy, just over.
Oh
and
my
over.
gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So like you seen that.
Mhm.
So besides the little boy that was in the room, who was in the room with you?
It's hard to tell. I
I
only
mean, 'cause
remember.
we-
I only remember that boy distinctly.
Did you tell the family what was going?
Yeah.
Exactly what was. Man, I would have been scared to tell them.
And I mean, the worst thing is that, like, every time, like, I draw like a kindergartner, so my pictures don't look scary when these
Gotcha.
people see everything.
Yeah,
I'm just
why
like,
is
it
there a
looks
stick
like
figure
this. I'm like, he was sitting over there, and that's a dresser. I'm really sorry, but I can't draw. So, but I mean, like, me trying to explain it to these families, we were in Temple a couple weeks ago, and like just like spur of the moment before we ended like doing our investigation portion, I had walked in this woman's closet, and I was like, all right, because I wanted to know if it was something on her or her fiance. And I walked in, I looked at his side of the closet, I saw nothing. I walked in on her side of the closet. There was a big, tall man, like with like a brimmed hat on, and there were two children, like identical children, probably about 12 or 13, wearing striped pajamas.
Did it startle you when at least? Like, you know, it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting to see that.
So just kind of like going into a haunted house, if they are feeling threatened because a lot of times they already know that I can see them when I walk in a house. So if they're hiding like in a closet or something,
beings
they
know.
will literally, they will come straight at my face and
they
try to
know.
get me to scare.
Wow,
Mhm.
that is. How'd you know you had? So that's how you knew you had to get to your uncle, I guess.
Well, so I didn't even remember that until
Because that's
like
a gift.
2 months ago when my grandma had said, she's like, oh yeah, you used to talk to dead people all the time. I was like,
Well,
I'm okay.
okay, like that's good to know. Like it didn't just happen.
I've heard the kids doing that before, but I've also heard because I've known people who had said their kids did this and that, and but it fades away.
Yeah. So it's like when kids are really young, we call it like being a lighthouse. Your light's super bright, and so because that imagination is there, they can manifest their stuff a lot easier. So as you grow up, that imagination goes away, your ability to just kind of see in that light just kind of dims. But for some people,
It never goes away.
yeah, or there's a way to reactivate it, basically. And certain things in your life have to happen, and your brain chemicals have to be just right for it to be like, okay. But mine didn't come back overnight. Like the first thing that happened was that I could start hearing people. We were in a case at Bartlett, and I walked in some ladies.
When you went to Gatesville with me.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the very first investigation that I hit on him and then didn't talk to him for a week happened. I know, I'm so bad. I wouldn't even look at his face during dinner. I was a mean person. But we went to this place in Gatesville for a public investigation, and I walked in this house, and it was like centuries old. Like the family had owned it prior, like all the way back to like when cowboys and Indians were a thing.
Wow, it
It's
sounds
like-
like it's a beautiful house.
It is. It's so beautiful. They have like a dairy cooler inside their like a cave. Like that's how they used to keep all their
Oh
dairy.
my gosh, badass!
so cool.
Yes.
So we walked in this house, and this woman's like, yeah, my grandmother used to own this house, and yada, yada, yada. And she said some cuss words, and then all of a sudden I hear this really brash old woman voice come across, like, my ears, and she said, we don't say that here. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what just happened. And I mean, I hadn't heard this since I was little, so I was like, what is happening? And so I had a friend with mine. I didn't hardly even talk to him that night, but I pulled our friend aside and I was like, "Did you hear that?" She's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "What is happening?" So from then it just got scarier. And then we went to Bartlett and I walked in a woman's closet and I heard a little girl go, "Hi." And I was like,
What the hell?
Bye.
"Bye." Bye.
That
And
Bartlett one was kind of weird because
that's where
the
we met
stuff
the
that
Grim
the
Reaper.
stuff that we got there, and then the family telling us and actually confirming to us about what actually happened there, and then to find out all that information was actually in the newspaper.
Can you? So if it's in the newspaper, can you talk about it a little bit then?
Yeah. So when we first went there, they were seeing. I mean, it's basically the same stuff. It's almost the same thing. You know, shadow figures, all that other stuff. You know, scratching, all things just moving around
In the house.
In the house. So I mean, we could kind of pretty much already know, like, okay, well, this is just the basic stuff.
Okay.
Going into it, as soon as I get in,
This is
I
an
know-
old house. Sorry, I don't mean to
Yeah, I
interrupt
think
you.
it's an old. I think it's like
Yeah.
an older style. I
It's-
don't want to say Victorian, but it was like
Queen Anne or
yeah, something like that. It was,
Okay.
it was kind of old. But as soon as we go in, I say hi. We say hi to the owners and all that other stuff, and then the first thing that I noticed was a room on the left, and then her father came out of there, and I was like, oh, there's something there with that guy.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh, really?
and I was like, okay. So, you know, I tell them, hey, this is what we're going to do. Go room to room. We go our separate ways pretty much. We have a camera and a recorder with us. So they know, like, anything that we catch, we're pretty much legit. We're not trying to snoop in their drawer. Or
Right,
anything like
right,
that.
right.
So it's just a camera on us at all times.
Yes.
So I go into the master bedroom. You go into
The
the office.
Yeah.
So
Pretty good sized house.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty good size. Well, I'm in there. I'm kind of sensing, you know, there was like some kind of event that or some trauma that happened in that one particular area, and I just felt the need to sit in one particular chair and just kind of almost like just looking out and
Watch. Perhaps.
yeah, watch, and just was just like emotional, very emotional.
Oh, wow,
And I was just
okay.
like, oh, this is just weird. I'm feeling this in this chair. I get up from there and I go into the closet, and in the closet is when I started seeing this shadow-looking thing all over the place, and then it almost
What?
sounded like a kid talking to me, and I was like, what the
Yeah. Okay. So in the closet. So
in the closet.
in the closet, just a regular closet like we
It's
have.
a walk-in. Just a
Walk-in
Oh.
closet. And you can see just a shadow.
Yeah. So I usually close the doors behind
How
me.
dark
and
is the
everything.
shadow? Like, is it
It's
appearance of shadow?
Yeah, it's darker than dark. So if you're in a
Really?
dark room, you'll see a figure of a dark figure.
No
in the dark.
shit. Wow.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
stop right there.
No.
Yeah, that's
No.
wild. Yeah, no,
So I
that's
need to write me a
wild.
list of all the places so I don't go there.
Yeah, you're kidding.
Don't go to Barnley.
Don't go to Barnley. Basically, just stay here at home.
Stay at home. Keep
I
a
stream everything anyway, so what the hell? I got all my shows. I'm good.
keep a whole thing of sage with you.
We have DoorDash nowadays. I'm good. All right, so
Yeah, so I get done with my part after seeing all that, and then Jordan does her part on that. I'm gonna let you talk about it a little bit. And then as I'm going back downstairs, I
I
go
don't
in.
remember what my part was.
What's the script?
Sorry, I
What was that
know.
again? I go
walk
down.
through door.
I go downstairs, and I go downstairs into her father's room, and I'm just seeing this thing.
So how old is the father?
Oh,
dude.
Yeah, he's late 70s, something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
He's up there.
Okay.
While I'm walking in there, I'm seeing this Grim Ripper type of dark shadow figure
Oh,
right there, and I'm
no.
like, huh.
The vultures are
And,
swarming.
I've seen this before, and I've had a case like that before, so I was just like, oh, okay, well, this is just, I don't know how I'm going to tell his daughter about this, but, you know, I just wrote down what I need to write down, get out of there and all that other stuff. Your part comes in after this, because you walked into the master bedroom. I don't know if you remember any of it or not. If not, it's okay, then I can continue to what was going on outside. Okay,
No, I don't remember.
Okay,
You go
so,
ahead.
I'm
like, I just remember the Grim Reaper.
as I'm going outside, I'm kind of feeling some stuff.
And this is
down.
daytime.
Yeah.
Okay.
So well, I'll get to that in a little bit, but I'm going on outside, and I'm kind of feeling some things out there as well, and I'm just writing down in the book. We come back inside, and then we started talking to him what's going on,
Right.
and then she had actually told me, like, yeah, when we bought the house, we found crucifixes buried in each corner.
Little wooden
corner of
crosses
the
all
house.
over the property.
And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, we found crucifixes all through the property. But we didn't know.
That
what
could have
they
been
were for.
religious, maybe.
It was more of a boundary because when we do that type of
Gotcha.
stuff, we put either the crucifix or we put
medal.
the medals in the ground to form a barrier.
Gotcha.
So what they did was just like they found us, they got rid of them, and they threw them. Like, there's nothing
Yeah,
here.
they're
We're
like,
good.
they were in the way of our garden, so we just chucked them.
I need
And
my
it was-
tomatoes.
and it was at that moment they realized they screwed up.
Wow.
Yeah. So after all that, we come back inside. They really didn't talk to us about anything on that part. And then I think we went home. And then
we had to go back and cleanse.
Yeah, so we went home and did some research and all this other stuff. And then we were hearing EVPs go back to their home again. And then found out that what we found and what we got on evidence was true. Meaning, upstairs there was a shooting that happened. So
Wow.
the shooting was, I think it was her daughter, right?
No, that didn't happen there. The daughter had lived in the master bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
but the daughter's husband at the time had paid for a hooker, but he didn't like the price that the hooker was charging, so he shot her and then shot himself.
Yeah.
So she was
Wow.
living through all of that in that room after all of that.
And
had
never
happened.
left.
Never left.
Yeah.
Mm.
She needed the money.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we found out that was actually her daughter, and
Yeah.
that she lived in that upstairs.
Wow.
I felt all that stuff going on,
Yeah.
but
And the sadness was just all the
happened
dread.
in Bartlett, though.
Yeah, it happened.
happened
It
in
literally
Bartlett.
had happened right down the street, but that wasn't the one that actually happened in the house. The one that happened in the house, and we never found like the newspaper clippings or anything of it, but the people that had owned it way before, they had said that the man was really sick or something, and the wife had got real tired of him, and so she hung him in the garage.
Yeah,
and
that
then
In
was-
shot
Bartlett
herself.
That was the same
also?
house.
Yeah, that was that house.
Yeah, that was the same house.
but
In Bartlett?
in
Yeah.
Bartlett.
Dude,
That's
that's
small-
messed up.
Yeah, it was the governor.
governor.
Yeah, it was one of the governors.
That is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
That
It
is
was
super
crazy.
wild.
Dude.
It was crazy.
I have something. I brought something up, and we're talking. We're talking about seeing crazy stuff.
UFOs?
And no, it's not. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
I'm the UFO dude. But this was a friend of mine, close friend of mine. Anyway, they claimed, and the friend of mine is as truthful as, just the most truthful person that I know.
Mhm.
Him and his wife, one night after about 2 or 3 in the morning, just in and out, young, they were, drinking in bars, whatever. But the streets were empty, and they saw, and they both claimed it. And like I said, to say something like this, you think, okay, it's truly made up.
Mm-hmm.
They both saw a sled with 6 dogs, 2 and 2 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
and a Grim Reaper on the sled.
I mean,
That's really sad.
I believe it.
And he was scared shitless because does that mean I'm gonna die or whatever?
Yeah.
That just scared the shit out of him. But that's what he claimed he saw. He's never ever said he's seen anything. He's not known for being a liar at all.
Yeah. So
What are your thoughts?
I mean, like I don't know about you guys, but personally, like to me, I've never personally seen the Grim Reaper. We've been around him twice, and I've never seen him. Like I for some reason, he's just
Wow.
it's just not been known.
So y'all seen this? So y'all seen it?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
I mean,
No,
it's-
I mean,
yeah. The last house we
one,
were in.
one of my near-death experiences.
Oh.
beautiful.
Oh yeah, with you. Talk
I've
about
actually,
crazy dying
at
experience.
this distance, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, the last house that we were in, I actually saw the woman's dead husband. Like, death comes in like so many different ways. If it's like a brash death, okay, death's gonna come and just, okay, we're done, let's go home. But, like this woman, she knew it was her time, she's accepting that it was her time, but the room, like, usually when you go into a haunted place, it doesn't matter what's in there, it's cold, it's creepy, it's clammy. Like, I mean, they can be brand new houses, it all feels the same way to me.
Right.
But this room felt warm. It was inviting. It felt like you were on a beach.
Just because she was probably accepted it, and she was
She was
probably
accepting
a
death
Christian, and she knew that when I pass, I know the afterlife. She's probably thinking very confidently that I'm going to go to heaven because I
Yeah.
do believe in heaven. I
Yeah.
believe in hell, and maybe she's just so confident in her spirituality that you know what, that's where my next place is gonna be.
Yeah. And I
You
mean,
know.
like, death was definitely there. He was in that room, but the thing was is that it was like I knew that he was there, but I was not able to see him. Instead, I saw her husband. But it's like he had brought her husband there, and all he had said was that he loved her and that he'd see her soon. And as soon as I started describing, she's like, "Oh my God, he looked like this and this and this," and I showed her the picture, and she was like, "It's my
No
time."
way,
Like
wow.
she knew. And I mean, it was sad, but it was so rewarding for the family at the same time because they had been such on a like health struggle with her for a long time. So I mean, it kind of helps like get those doors. I'm like, unfortunately, I don't know a timeline, but I'm like, at least I can tell you he's there.
You know, my sister, this is very close to me. This is a bunch of stuff. My sister, who was one of my best friends, who passed. Before she passed, my father had just passed. I lost my dad and my sister within 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
So I was having a hard year, and that same year I had a heart attack.
Oh my
So
gosh.
my life was berserk. My life was berserk. But I have a great wife, and I go to church. So thank God, I'm here. But my sister wanted to go visit her in the hospital, and she said that she knew it was going to be time for her to pass. She goes, "Check this out." I was like, I saw mom and dad carrying and they had a little baby, and they were standing in front of me. It was like a little baby. Well, my niece had miscarriage, and that's like, still to this day, it just gave me chills. Gave me chills, but she knew that, but she was at peace with it.
Yeah.
But I've always heard people say they see, like, they're almost like we're here for you. You're gonna pass.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay. I've heard that. I've heard that before. I mean, I don't know. Those stories like that, they sound familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as long as your death isn't like crazy and spontaneous, I mean, the people that I've encountered, like, death has always been, it's never like a scary thing for those people. It's always a warm welcoming. There's always people there to be with them, especially for like that poor woman. Like, I mean, she was ready and she knew exactly who it was, and she's like, he died, was it like 10 or 12 years ago? And I mean, she, I could tell her what he smelled like. I could tell her everything about this man. And I was like, he looks great. He looks like he's like 30 or 40 and he's got like real nice mustache. And she's like, he used to have
Angels
a
don't crack.
beautiful mustache. So I was like, okay. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a sad thing, like when you have to tell a family that, but for some of those people, it's rewarding, like especially when they've been waiting for it for so long with health issues. Like it's comforting to them. They're like, all right, we know you're gonna go to a good place.
Got it.
Now your crazy experience
Yes.
with death.
I went with that. I want to hear that one.
I used to work for Bryan County Emergency Management. I was a rescue swimmer in Oklahoma.
Oh wow, brother!
I did,
that's skills right there, brother.
I did swiftwater rescue. We did, if there was an accident, we were first responders.
Where'd you do your training at? That's a very very difficult job right there.
We actually trained in Norman, and it was like, oh God, it's been almost 20 years ago. So that was like, I don't know, it was like a 8 or 10 month process.
Wow, bro! Yeah, that's a very hard job, man.
And, but we had gone. You want to talk about vivid memories? That was we'd gone out on a call. It was when the call went out. It was initially started as little girl in the water. We had flash floods going on at that time, so we were constantly on call.
I got you.
No sleep. You literally ran off of caffeine, nicotine, and whatever else you could use to keep yourself awake.
Right. I remember the '90s. Yes.
It was actually kind of funny because one of our guys, he was like, I'm falling asleep. So, do you know what a TENS unit is?
No.
For what they use to do muscle rehab. And they're small little battery powered units.
Okay.
And he was just joking around when one of the guys walked up behind him and slapped the electrodes on the side of his head and just cranked
Oh
it
yes,
real
they
quick.
did it to my knee when I played football. Yes, I know what those things. Yes.
Oh,
So you can
and-
just imagine this guy with this look on his face like,
Yes, that shocks you.
So, we were all laughing and joking about that, and about 10 minutes later, the call went out.
Okay.
Little girl in the water. It was, at the time, we didn't know that it was actually 2 little girls, because the sister was trying to get her
Oh
younger
wow,
sister out of the water.
yes, got you.
fell in. Let's see. Probably from where we were is probably about 7 minutes arrival time, because as Swift Water, and it being a small area, we actually reacted sooner than the fire department did.
Wow, I got you.
So we usually ran 2-man teams. Me and my partner showed up, launched mooring line, just running standard operating procedure.
Was it hard to find them?
Oh no. I mean, the dad was on the side of the road, jumping up and down, pointing
Gotcha.
exactly where they were, and so we trail downhill. My partner gets in position, tries to, because we had something that was called the we jokingly called it the fish net,
Okay,
and it basically it was a floating cargo net.
got you.
So he would deploy upstream, try to get them to get a hold of it and get wound up in it,
Mm-hmm.
and then that
You
we
pull
could
'em
drag
in.
ashore.
Right.
It's too much underbrush.
Oh man.
It was, as we call it, fish in the water operation.
Got you.
So you launch the mooring line, you anchor the mooring line. From there you drop in, and I was the fish in the water because I was the stronger of the two swimmers out of us, and so I jump in the water. First thing I do, I get a hold of the first little girl, get her anchored up. Anchoring the second little girl, I take a debris hit. Well, a debris hit is, logs, trash cans, whatever in the water.
Right.
Well, at the time, I didn't realize that this log that hit me was almost 24 inches in diameter, 8 foot long.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It was the equivalent, when we sat down and actually did the math, it was the equivalent of getting hit by a Prius at 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
Ooh, fuck.
And that's the reason why I have so much shoulder injury, or so much issue with this left shoulder.
Right.
Because it didn't just dislocate it ripped everything away.
Wow, brother.
So
So it didn't hit your head, hit your shoulder.
yeah, it hit the shoulder.
So
I
you
saw
couldn't swim.
all I could do was I could see it bob up, and when it bobbed up, I turned to take the hit because I had both
Yes.
girls right here. Well, problem is with the mooring line, you stagger the mooring line, so you use the water current and hand over hand, which now I'm down a hand.
Right.
I have to get 2 little girls out of the water.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Well, the mooring line is only designed to take so much weight, including the movement of water.
Yes.
So I'm about halfway through, and I'm tanking. Pain's kicking in, starting to pass out.
Are you letting them know?
Uh,
Letting the other guy know?
yeah, he could see. He could see that I was going down. So we have a backup that's called the Buoy Buddy, and it was something that, developed by Bryan County just for that reason. It was a last-ditch effort. You break away from the harness, and as you launch it, it breaks away. You float free. Your colleague on the shore catches it, drags them in.
Got you.
You only deploy that if you're in,
The
dire
last-
straits and you have no choice. Well, I was at that point.
Yes.
It was because if I didn't keep pulling, the water was going to drag us down.
Right. Exactly.
So cut loose. I get tangled up. He loses sight of me for the next 15 minutes.
Wow.
Let me just put it this way. It was like being in a washing machine full of dumpsters. You get slammed into everything.
Oh man.
And
Sure.
I don't know, after about a minute and a half, I don't remember anything.
And the little girls?
He was able to rip. I mean, he literally just about 3 pulls in
Okay.
20 yards. He had them in.
Yeah.
As bad as this is going to sound, like a bag of wet socks. Just
Right.
threw them up there onto the bank and said, "Y'all stay right
It
here."
was what it was. Yes.
Yeah, and
it
the
was
dad,
what it was.
the dad was able to get down and around and get to them.
Right.
And that's when fire department showed up. Everybody else showed up. Then it went from a rescue operation to what they thought was a recovery operation.
Wow.
And at some point in there, the whole dumpsters and the washing machine. Ironically enough, that's what I ended up in. I ended up inside of a dumpster with an air pocket.
Wow. That
and,
is miraculous.
And so steadily getting rolled constantly.
But you were able at least to get a breath.
Well, if I did, I don't really remember it.
Got you.
Because when the dumpster came up, we wore bright orange and green, wetsuits. That's all my partner saw was the dislocated arm flop out of the dumpster for a split second.
Wow.
And I still want to kick his ass to the day.
Mhm.
He jumped in, no line, no vest, no nothing.
Mm.
And just latched onto the dumpster, drug me out, and for all intents and purposes, I was dead for at least, well, as they counted, almost 9.5 minutes.
Wow, brother, without oxygen?
But what they're thinking is, you know, you have the involuntary reaction to breathe.
Right.
Well, they trained us to push ourselves to the point where you hold your breath even to the point of passing out. You continue that to the point where your brain instinctively goes, okay, even if you pass out, you do not exhale. Well, they said that was probably the only thing that saved my life because
Wow.
I had no water in my lungs. It's
Wow.
just no involuntary action. Water was between 47 and 53 degrees that day.
Oh my gosh, wow. How'd
So-
you come to? Was it through adrenaline? They give you a shot of adrenaline, or how'd they?
15 minutes of chest compressions. I woke up on a stretcher with my left arm just dangling. And when I came to, it was kind of one of those surreal moments. You're like, where the hell am I? Then the pain hits.
Oh
Then
man.
you want to set up, and you're trying to look, and they've got you strapped down, and then it's, yeah,
Mm.
it's horrible.
Do you remember anything like when you were out?
Dark.
It was
It
dark.
was like, like he was talking about darker than dark. It
Wow.
was like being in the
In the
dark.
void.
Nothing. No, no sounds, no nothing. You're just sitting there going, oh shit, where am I?
Hello?
Yeah, I mean, I actually did, and they always say,
I've heard that same story from someone. Same story.
and you see nothing, you hear nothing, but it's one of those things. It's like you feel everything. Is like, like, hey, you're new. What are you doing here?
I've heard that same story from
Yeah.
someone close to me that passed, came back.
And
Said the same thing too.
And I'll tell you, it's like when you get snatched back from that, gives you a whole new perspective on life. So,
I believe it. And that same person said the same thing too.
Yeah.
Said the same thing too.
that's part of, I won't say that's part of one of the reasons that I am still in this field.
Wow, brother. That's a fascinating story, especially knowing that you made it back, brother. I mean, that is a total blessing, as you know.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah, I shortly retired after that.
Shit, hell
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
they're one of the main things was like, they said, oh, well, medically, you can't go back in the water.
Gotcha.
I'm like,
No, I'm not.
here's my
Coincidentally, I don't want to go back in the water.
And coincidentally, that's the reason why I don't like the water.
Have you got anything? Well, let's say on a regular day or regular week. Excuse me. Did I just say regularly for a second? But anyway, a regular week.
Regular week.
A regular week. So do y'all just get random calls or do y'all already have, say you get a call, you can't go that week. Do you go because are you that booked ahead or
Pretty much.
So let's say, hopefully it never ever happens. I need to call you for something. You can't do it next week. It has to be like, you're booked.
We got to the point to where we have to do them during the week now.
Got you.
And it does happen very random.
Really?
It'll be like, man, what was it, last week? Where it was just like, man, we haven't had any cases in a week. And then all of a sudden, in one day, we get like 3 calls or 3 messages like, hey, we need you guys over here. But we'll separate them out. I mean, November was supposed to be our vacation time.
Got you.
It's no longer.
It's
Vacation time.
Is Halloween a busy time?
I mean, it is, but like I said, recently it's all been just
Just whenever. Yeah,
it's all been busy.
I mean, of course, I knew it'd be whenever because it is what it is. But but is Halloween ever maybe a time from like to where you guys are even doing like more podcast or anything like that? Or
Oh yeah, just in general. I mean, during when it starts getting into the Halloween part, everything just
Right.
People want to speak to ghost hunters more and all this other stuff, and it just gets busy around that time.
Where can folks get a hold of you if they need something like that done?
So you go to Facebook and it's Dark Explorers Paranormal.
Dark Explorers Paranormal. Tell me about the one that one you did. I never got to see because I forgot the name. That one you did on Discovery Channel.
Oh, was Was it
Destination Truth.
Fear.
Yeah, Destination Fear.
Destination Fears.
Yeah,
what
that was
episode
the-
are you in?
Oh my god!
Because I'm not gonna trust me. I'm not gonna watch all of them just to see John. I gotta know the ones he's in.
I really do not remember. I know it's like.
Can you message me when you find out?
Yeah, I'll message you. I think it's like season 3 or something.
Okay, like I said, I'm not gonna go watch all those scary. Just I saw them and that's it. I want to know which one it is.
It's the Nazareth episode. That's all it says.
Nazareth. Okay, I'll check that out in the daytime sometime.
Yeah, check it out.
Have y'all got anything coming up here? That's not. Of course, you don't know you can't do houses, but anything that you can. Maybe not residential, but something. Any popular places you're going to go to?
We just finished our last public investigation for the year on the 22nd.
Where was that at?
Actually, that was a secret location. That was like half business and half residential.
So it was for the business. They wanted something.
It was
really.
It was both. It was both.
Wow.
Because they actually lived in the business.
Wow. So can you talk about what happened? Not the business, but what happened?
When we first investigated the first time, I seen some yellow eyes in the basement area.
Wow.
Now Leo and all them, you caught something totally different than what I caught, but that's all that happened to me was just like I seen the yellow eyes and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
What did you see?
That's always like.
Because you're the one that sees crazy things.
Yeah, well, they had originally told us like their stairs are like really crazy, just like at an angle, and they told us, yeah,
and they're like what, like almost 14 inches apart between.
Oh
each.
my
yeah,
God.
they're real.
I mean, that's what I say. Why should you hiring contractors,
It's a
folks?
long way
Yeah.
down.
There's contractor shortcuts nowadays, but anyway.
Yeah, she had told us like ahead of time. She's like, yeah, there's something that likes to like knock people down. She's like, so one time she's like, she literally got knocked down the stairs and broke her ankle.
Wow.
And so we were like, okay, well, this whole house is nothing but stairs. You go up one side, there's stairs. You go down another side, there's more stairs. We're like, okay, do we know what stairs you died on? Because I kind of need to know. So, I mean, it was the front stairs she fell and broke her ankle on. But I was with John's brother. He had just wanted to be on the team, and we were walking through some rooms, and all of a sudden you hear like high heels walking on the floor. There's nobody up on this floor except for us. So
Wow.
we were like, what is happening? So we walk in the hallway, and we were using a spirit box at the time, and it just kept telling us to follow it. So we're like, all right. So we went into the master bedroom, and there's this big, like, tall, lanky woman just standing in this bedroom.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, it starts telling his brother how good he smells and all this other. Like, it got real creepy. And I was like, do I need to leave the room? Because I don't want to know what's about to happen.
Did he see her?
He didn't see her. No, he doesn't. Unfortunately, he doesn't have that ability. But
So the ghost had the hots for the brother?
yeah,
This,
she had the hots for him.
Was she have a Texas or an American accent?
No, she had an American accent. We actually kind of got to speak with her on Saturday because that was kind of our goal. Was when we went
You
back
did
in
that
there.
too, brother? I mean, you don't see things like she's...
No, I don't see things like that. Okay, they give me a hard time.
Okay.
Because each one of us have kind of like a different. You think of them as a different ability.
Right, exactly.
She sees, she hears. He
Like the X-Men.
Yeah, he
Got you.
He can feel and see the dark. Me, I just have an ultra high sixth sense. It's like I don't feel and see them, but I'm like, that's kind of weird.
You're like Professor Xavier. Who would be Xavier?
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with the force.
I'm going to turn this AC off for a second. Just get a little warm.
But,
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
Yeah, my bad.
But I mean that's the reason why for years that I've dealt with more the tech side.
Got you.
You know, I mean I'm a diesel mechanic by trade. I work at American Scaregrounds. I'm chief engineer over there, and so I deal with the more technical, hands-on aspect of things.
Yes.
And now I've got them. They're like, no. Less tech, more you. I'm like, okay, I'll try. But you'll still catch them from time to time. I'm like, I reach over in the bag and I'm like, yes, let's go.
Has there ever been a case that you guys would not touch?
No.
No.
We touch every case.
Yeah, I mean, we've
touch
done
all
every
the
case that's been put in front of us.
Let me ask you a question. Was there any case that you were just so confused at, but when you understood it, you were just like, oh, it's just this, it's not paranormal?
They're good questions.
Yeah,
we had a
actually,
couple of cases.
we had one real recently that
Actually, the last, what, three or
3 or
four
4, yeah.
have been like that.
And
Where the energy in the room is the wiring.
Yeah.
yeah, the one case that we went and did here recently, young lady was just, she was like, I feel like I'm out of my mind. I'm hearing voices, things like that.
Oh, mushrooms. I remember. Sorry.
So
Yes,
we
It's
get
like, I
up
hear
there,
those too.
and the first thing we do, you know, she's got the front door open on the house. They're doing renovations on the house.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, now I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. I was like, what are you talking about?
Jo-
Because I'm
you know,
confused.
You know, John went to talk to them. Me and Jordan, we just kind of
There's
took
probably a bunch of
peek
mess because of his renovations. Could
and
have been my people. We are good construction workers.
we walk in and she was like, I have this splitting headache. I'm like, okay. So me being the tech guy, first thing I do is I pull out EMF meter, electromagnetic field meter. Start going around the house. By that time, John walks in, and he has one that's, you know, we have 2 different models, so we can compare. We walk in, his is just going crazy, sky high readings. Mine is just staying pegged. We're like, okay. So he hands it to me. He goes, you know, he said, do what you do. So I started going around because I have a contractor's background.
Right.
Also, my father was a contractor for years. So I'm thinking, okay, let's break this down here. First thing I went to, panel box, astronomically high. Go over to the furnace, even higher than the panel box.
Wow.
So like a normal light switch, generally when the switch is on, should only put out 100 millivolts.
Right.
A singular plug in that home was putting out 350 to 400.
Yeah,
Wow.
the magnetic reading was just off the scale.
So what was it?
Ended up, a lot of this house was 1, not grounded. 2, had old ceiling fans in the house. You ever seen an old ceiling fan where it just gets hung up?
Yeah.
And you walk into the room and you flip the light on and you're like, what the hell is that hum?
Yeah.
Or you can
Oh.
almost feel it. That's what it was. The ceiling fans were locked up. Went through and I systematically started turning ceiling fans off, lights off, going through. Actually took the panel box and put that's the reason why there's a box cover on there is because it shields that.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in there and went in there and disconnected the transformer. And we brought the client back in. She goes, what did y'all do? Come to find out she was highly sensitive to magnetic fields.
Wow.
That's a gift too.
And, you know, and we went into their
Magneto.
trailer. You know, we went into their trailer that they were staying in, and it was the same thing. Started going through it. I'm literally reaching down around this trailer and flipping breakers off as I go. And she was like, what did you do? I'm like, yeah, y'all need to do renovations. And I was telling her, you know, her husband, I said, you need doing renovations when she's over there. Try to keep it minimal until you get everything swapped out. And I don't know, have we heard from them lately? Yeah. I mean, it was just night and day difference.
Wow.
I wrote down a whole list on the contractor side.
But did you also explain to her that she was highly sensitive?
Yes.
And how did she take it?
I mean, and this is like where it gets tricky. And I mean, you talk about like mental health conditions and people getting sick and stuff all over.
There you go.
She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but was not seeing a doctor regularly for her stuff.
Ye-
So the voices that she was already hearing
Yes.
was now amplified by all this stuff.
Exactly.
So it gets really hard when those kinds of situations
Yes.
happen
That
because
makes a lot of sense.
then you're turning around and being like,
Okay.
all right, so I need you to go to a doctor because I'm not one and I have no idea how to tell you how to fix what's going on
Yes.
here.
It's
There-
like all we did was take the mic away from what was already
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
So now you can work on him. Or
Yeah.
Yes.
There is a story of a fake haunting that had happened, but the people that went through it still to this day believe that it was real.
Yeah.
So the story goes, this boyfriend and girlfriend broke up. Well,
Microphone?
it's not on.
Oh, it's not on. Okay. Well,
So-
you good.
so the
Your
boy-
mic got that.
Really?
It's nice that you got that one.
Well, the boy.
Mike.
Oh, well, anyway, the boyfriend and the girlfriend broke up because, you know, they just weren't, well, because the girlfriend cheated on him. And so he has to suffer the stupid indignity of moving out of their place and finding somewhere else to live, right? So he thought about revenge, and he thought it really well because he bought these, what do you call them, noisemakers or something like that? And you bought the chirpers or whatever, but
Yes.
however, these were putting off different noises, like realistic noises, and you can get like hundreds of these things for like $1, and he bought like a whole bunch of them.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We had him down at the truck shop because my truck boss, his hearing was extremely good.
Yeah,
So I found the ones that was a cricket
yeah.
and a cat, and we would systematically move them around the shop just to play pranks on him. when he found them, yeah, let's just put it this way. Toolboxes were saran wrapped, and they were sitting out in the rain. We're like, what? He said, y'all are fired. I'm like, what? He goes, no, y'all are not fired. Get back in here and get to work. Don't ever do that again.
Wow. No, well, anyway.
They're horrible.
Anyway, he thought of get revenge. He bought these noisemakers, and he strategically put them to where you would never think to find them.
Oh my god.
So, no, and one of them was a wall outlet. He took out the whole wall outlet, put the noisemaker in there, and he screwed it back in.
Wow.
And so when the girlfriend and the boyfriend, their new boyfriend, has started to enjoy the place, they just kept waking up in the middle of the night. They heard whispers, cats, and all that stuff. And, well, mind you, the girlfriend is the one hearing it sometimes.
Yeah.
But the boyfriend's just like, what? I don't hear anything. Like, and they're going crazy. And this girl's like losing her mind. And so at the end of the whole thing, it lasted 3 months. They broke up. And so, life moves on. The girlfriend and the ex reconnected. Well, before that, the original boyfriend and his friend, where they were sitting at a table, he was just wanting to know how she was doing. And he told him what had happened. That boyfriend's giggling, cackling up at every detail that he was saying. And then the friend just went like, it was you, wasn't it? And he was just like, yeah.
So where was this case from?
It was from New York.
What the heck?
Oh my gosh, that's like, wow.
So do you guys document everything you do, like for YouTube?
Not for YouTube, but like we document everything, because the worst thing you are doing with you have somebody with mental health issues and turn around and be like, well, you stole this and this went missing and all this stuff happens. And we keep it for that, but a lot of the residential cases, like, we can't show the evidence of, just to keep their identities and stuff protected. But I mean, anything that we do public, which we've only done like I think 3 times this year for fun, maybe. Like, that's the only evidence we can really
Gotcha,
show.
that's right.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I love the way you guys do what you do. I mean, that's pretty awesome the way I know your intentions are good, as opposed to people just do it just for the money and all that. I can tell you guys really love doing what you do. Is there anything you said all your like businesses are pretty much done for the year?
Yeah, pretty much. But we're gonna start working on some research stuff in the future. So
anything in Marlin? Anything else in Marlin? Is the Palace Theater, is that already done to death or what?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm friends with Cindy, but whenever she's doing her stuff, when she's got all her cases going on, her research stuff, she's literally, no pun intended, a ghost in the wind, because she doesn't, she's not answering any kind of Facebook messages.
I got you. Yeah.
So she's constantly busy.
I did one of my first rock shows there as a kid. I was a teenager, and we opened up with some band from Dallas came down. And we did the rock, and it was kind of creepy. I never saw anything back there, but it's just the way it looked back then. You can only imagine in the it was in the '80s, how creepy it looked besides before renovation. But that's notorious for being haunted. But keep me posted on anything y'all have. If you ever want to promote anything, keep me posted, especially on businesses like that. I just love to hear stories like that, so I can be scared all night long. Anything I need to promote? Any shout outs?
Right now,
even the artist
is my daughter's birthday, so happy birthday,
Happy
daughter.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Elena.
And your artist to artist showcase is the 29th.
Yeah, it's this Saturday, starts at 4, ends at 9 at City Hall parking lot in Temple, Texas.
City Hall parking lot. Any shout outs? Any
We're in our final week at out at the big haunted house north of town, that American Scaregrounds now.
Where's this at?
What town?
No, where? No.
It's in the one in Elmont. The one with the big skull.
So is it still? See, I passed by there a couple of weeks ago, and it didn't look like it was getting. Oh, so it's still.
Yeah, it's still going. It's under new ownership.
Really, that's such a kick-ass looking place,
And it's been the main house has been completely. That's the one that actually has the awning on the front.
Yes.
It's been completely redesigned.
So you're what character are you in there?
I'm not a character. I'm chief engineer.
Oh, really?
I'm the one that keeps that nightmare machine.
You keep it old, gotcha. Yes, sir. Well, kick ass, dude. That's badass. Just
We'll be open tomorrow night, all the way, I believe, until Monday.
what's the mission?
I believe it is 20.
I think it's 35.
Is it 35?
I think so.
Really?
It's 35. That's what it is. 35 for VIP. I believe 20 or 25.
What does VIP entail?
VIP is front of the line.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, we
That
also
make, it's cool.
we're gonna have we have different vendors out there. We have Jordan will be out there.
What are you selling?
So I run a business called Obscurely Wicked. So I have oddities, I have antiques, I've got bones, I've got a little bit of everything.
There you go.
And we have, I think it's New Adventures Coffee. That they're a travel around coffee bar.
Badass.
And then we also have I think it's Ray's snow cones.
Okay,
Ooh.
okay.
And but she's not just snow cones. She has this amazing delicacy. It's called Crunch Dog. It's like the combination of Frito pie and a chili dog.
Dude, I've made those many times at my house. I'm a
good.
chili dog connoisseur.
Yes,
That's right, I said that.
They are very good.
I wear it on my sleeve.
Yeah,
Yes.
she
Get a
has
tattoo.
Yeah.
yeah, she has tons of goodies on that.
Well,
on that.
Well, that's kick ass. That place is still running, dude. Really kick ass.
Yep. And
What?
no, go ahead.
No. Real quick question before we call it a day. Jake Paul, Anderson Silva.
Okay, so if Silva doesn't take the money, I think he's gonna knock him out.
Really?
If he did get paid under the table, we'll notice how, because Anderson is a good fighter.
I did hear already though. He's been knocked out
In
twice in
training camp.
training. So does that? I mean, that means a lot. Of course, they're by guys that are real fighters, really snipers. So, but still, that means his chin's loose, or
I'm just worried that Paul will give him like, hey, here's $4 million to Paul. Like, fuck.
Yeah,
So,
it could happen. I mean,
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. But I hear what you're saying. I say this. I heard it's going to go 12 rounds. At first I heard 8, then 12. Is
I
it
think
12
it's
or
gonna
8?
go- I think it's gonna go 9.
So, but I mean, what I'm saying,
Yeah, it's gonna be
it's a
12. 12
round match.
It's 12 rounds, but
It's
it's
going to go
gonna be
9 Silva. I think so too. Here's the deal.
If he doesn't take the money.
If he doesn't take the money, because Jake Paul conditions himself for 8 round fights.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. Jumping 4 more rounds.
And Anderson's already
And then Anderson Silva,
43, 44. He's gonna be older than
He's
that.
older. He's old. Yeah, he is. He's about 40. I think he said 47.
Paul's like 20, what?
Oh, I don't know.
27, 28?
Something like that.
I hope he gets knocked out.
But
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
his
I wasn't
last
into the ring, so.
his last few years, well, actually, ever since he held the belt, he held it forever. He always did. Besides finishing guys, was conditioned for 25 rounds. I mean, that's 25 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Conditioned for 25. Jake Paul is not conditioned for 25 minutes.
No.
And that means a lot. You know,
He's just a YouTuber that just
He's
wanted into
he's
boxing.
legit though. He's not just a YouTuber.
He hits hard. I'll
At
admit
first
that.
he was, but now I think he's a legitimate
I think his bank gets
boxer.
harder. That's what it is.
No, he used to be a Disney actor. If you never.
That's
him-
right, he was. Yeah, he was.
He was a
Oh,
Disney
yeah.
actor.
Yeah, no, other boxers. Trust me, other boxers and fighters. Me and JohnJohn know about.
I say third round puts him on the mat.
Who? Jake Paul puts Anderson Silva.
No,
Anderson
Silva.
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 I can see that
Yeah.
because
Just-
those hands, man.
Yeah, I mean,
the
just,
reach,
just be
everything.
like, okay, yeah, you want to come in here and go this many rounds with
But you'll forget one
somebody
thing.
somebody like me. Well, okay.
Forgetting one thing. Anderson is a defensive fighter. He's not offensive.
True that. That's exactly right. But
he's not going to take the fight to him. He's going to let Paul come in, and that's when he's going to catch him.
and he's
That's why I say
notorious
9
for
rounds.
catching guys.
That's why I say
Notorious
9
for
rounds.
that. And one more thing, I will say this. Because a lot of guys give him hell. And the guy I'm talking about, Cesar Chavez Jr.
Oh, yeah.
They give him hell because, he was smoking weed and just quit training. His last couple of fights, he wasn't what he was. But before that, you have to think,
He was a good boxer.
50-0. No, 50-3.
Yeah.
50-3 in boxing, that is a big deal.
Yeah.
And he was known, at least when I started knowing about Cesar Chavez Jr., was in top 10 the whole time. To be top 10 in boxing is a big deal. Anderson Silva made him look like a chump.
That knocks him out. Didn't he
Yeah.
knock him
I don't know if he did. He knocked Tito out.
out?
He knocked Tito the hell out.
I think Gust of Wind could knock Tito.
Right.
Then there's
But anyway, thank y'all for doing this. Thank you for doing this. Every Halloween, I call my boy JohnJohn, and because like I said, he loves what he does, and he does it all the time. He's very good at it. And it was nice meeting you too, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember your name from the shoes, Jordan.
Yeah.
And your name was Daniel, because my
Yes, sir.
stepson's name is Daniel, but still, I remembered your name. And it was nice meeting you guys. And I can
Nice
tell,
meeting
I can
you
tell
too.
y'all kick ass and y'all love doing what y'all do. And I want to have y'all back on some more. Anytime you have something like that you
Anytime
want to
it's
talk
Halloween.
about, well, besides Halloween, if you just something you want to talk about, holler at me, because I love just artists. I love, I have musicians here all the time, and that's an art. Trust me, not everybody can do it.
I'm trying to get her into hip hop, man. She don't want to listen to it.
No.
Well, it depends what hip hop. Right now, hip hop no good. I'm the
Yeah,
old
we don't
guy.
listen to that new stuff.
Yeah. Well, folks, next week, who am I having on next week? Let me think. Oh, Michael Saldana, a good friend of mine, retiring from playing. But man, the guy's been around for a long time. Good singer-songwriter. I produced a couple of singles for him. And I think November is going to be his last month playing.
Ain't he from Rooster Teeth?
What's that?
Or am I thinking of a different
I
Saldana?
don't know. But anyway, Michael Saldana, good singer-songwriter at Waco, actually not outside of Waco, but has been doing it for a long time. Always brought a crowd, and a good friend of mine, and I'm going to have him on next week. Should be fun. Be sure to check out my other podcast on Tuesdays, 2 Guitars and a Mic. But also, this coming Friday, we're having a fight watch party with Eric Owens and let me think the other gentlemen. I just barely met him, but he just fought for Peak Fighting this weekend. Both win. I can't think of that's important.
I thought it was Saturday.
No, they just fought this Saturday.
Oh.
We're watching Anderson Silva and Lomachenko both at the same time of a fight watch party right here at the shack.
Take that one.
Right here at the shack, and that's gonna be sponsored by Barris Italian Food, the best Italian food here in Waco.
Yes. The rolls are huge.
I love it. And it's great. And they're going to be sponsoring that episode. What's the name of your crew again?
Dark Explorers Paranormal.
Dark Explorers Paranormal. If you got anything crazy at your house, holler at them. They'll take on anything crazy.
Yeah.
She might
Give us
even
a
take a
call.
knife to the back. That's how crazy she is. That's how crazy she is. Be sure to like and share, everybody. Peace out.